Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Chris here, and in today's video, or today's creative musical idea should I say, we're going to be taking a look at loops that aren't in time. Let's go. Why would you use loops that aren't in time? Now, my concept behind this is not that they're meant to be out of time, but necessarily creating more of like an ambience, just using it as a kind of weird, mystical per se sound to your song. So in this idea, I've basically got a lot of inspiration from the OP1 that I've got here, because you can't actually warp your samples. So in this case, I recorded a little sound of me doing an ooh. I stuck a little at the end of that note, just because every note that this is going to play back is going to be at a different speed. So if I play a high note, you know, you get that change of speed, and every note is going to have a different speed. So if I play a low note, same thing. It's going to take ages before you hear that rise of note. And there it is. So what's nice about this is the fact that now whatever you play is kind of working in its own time. It's all bending at its own time, and that kind of allows you to not necessarily think about timing as much and just play with the sample and play what it's giving back to you. So in this sense, if I play a little chord like this, you can hear all the samples are moving in their own time. If I bring it an octave down, it will sound a bit nicer. So you get the idea. That's kind of where we're going with this. I want to expand on it and use it a bit more kind of all over the place. Obviously, this is using it in the case of an instrument, but I'd like to show you how you can also use it to just add some ambience to your track, you know, just a little bit of ear candy, which I love. Even just sticking with something like what we did in the beginning and just having one high note that just repeats. And if I put that to any tempo, let's see, I'm on 120, let me drag it down to 96. I'm just going to build a track. We're going to work with a lot of loops that aren't in time. Clearly, we want to avoid something like this. But let's see how we're going to make this work. So I really like this patch on the OP1, so I'm just going to use that as my base to record. If I grab a audio track over here, now the thing is, to get this working with my MIDI keyboard, I've basically set up a MIDI channel with an external instrument. I've selected the OP1, got it plugged in through a USB at the minute, and so that just allows me to play it through my MIDI keyboard, and that gives me a lot more freedom as opposed to using this tiny keyboard. I can, you know, do all my stuff on here and have all of the octaves, which is great. So I am going to leave this on monitor in, so I can always hear it without necessarily having it record armed. And then I'll be recording onto an audio track. So let's start with maybe some chords just to lay down a basis, and then I will work from there. Sick, we've got our chords. Now we can experiment with some of this crazy nonsense. Let's get another audio track going. Whilst those chords are playing, I'm just going to start adding some stuff on the top end. Let's see what we can get. Awesome. So we've got that loop in there. I can chop off the end of that. And again, we can add some effects, make this at least a bit more exciting. I do like to look at this stuff as ambient, so at the end of the day, it's probably going to be soaked in reverb and delay. Let's get some reverb. The classic vintage verb. And even just having that kind of have to be a bit careful with it. I was playing with this idea earlier, and the idea of bending the note to a tone, so going from doing that or doing a semitone, which is both of which can give you some interesting results. I found with the semitone you have to be a bit more careful on what chords you play, because then you start getting these like single bend chord transitions and it gets a bit messy. But at least with the actual whole step, that tends to fall in line with quite a few notes and makes it a bit easier to get around something like that. I do like the fact that usually in the sense of getting these out of time loops, even percussion, having something weird rustling in the background. Like the other day I made a track and I had a bottle of coins similar to this actually. This is it. It's a pretty upset version of it, but it's just some bronze coins that I collect and I keep them in this bottle for whatever reason, but you can use it as percussion. Not a very common tool to use for percussion, but it provides a different sound than your average shaker. And even having something like this, like a texture, you can just stick in a track. We're going to build this track out of random, out of time ambience and see kind of, this is going to be an extreme example of what we're doing today, but I do like to get these ideas and toss them into tracks when I feel like it needs a little bit of space, a little bit of something interesting going on in the background. So let's see what we can build with that. We've got the chords and we've got this little bit of ambience from the OP1. Already a very possible start to a song, which I'm happy about. I listen to this and I already get a little bit of inspiration, which is great. So let's add a couple of drums to this and kind of start building a little sequence here. So if I grab the loops we've already made, boom, turn off that, create a loop. Now let's add some drums. Right, I gotta give a shout out to the Count, because not only am I a huge fan of his samples, but one of his drum packs, Drums Volume 4, he's included this textures pack, which is great because it's literally this whole concept of like just having sounds not technically in time, couple of like little extra spicy samples in there, but having something like this, the shells, that heavy bells. Even these chimes would work really nicely. Let me chuck those in there. I'll turn the warp off so we know we're truly not in time. And then just having that tucked away in the background would be such a nice addition. Barely have it in there in the mix, but at least you can hear a little bit of that jingliness. And listening back to the sample, I think it's a bit sharp. So I'm just going to pull the pitch back. That's meant to be the note we're landing, and it's makes it sound like the piano is sharp. So we have adjusted the pitch minus 37 cents apparently, and added our little beat. And now, it's definitely a good position to create a song, I would say. Just do the classic copy and paste the whole arrangement. If I shrink this down, you can kind of take a look at what's going on here, and then that would be my base for getting into this method. So say I cut out the drums for the beginning and we added like a filtered section to that intro. We can just put that on the auxiliary group, add the filter, and let's see where we go. Add some reverb. Maybe a little riser into there. Sick. I'd love to experiment more with this on the voice side. So now you can hear me on this bad boy. What are we gonna do? I think I'm gonna do a similar thing, maybe like a little kind of run, and we'll just play it high up on the keyboard so it plays it really fast. Beautiful. All right, chuck that in, do a little couple of those. All right, just a little kind of accents of that. And then this one was a bit interesting. Interesting. You see what I mean by like these notes that clash every now and then. So you have to be a bit specific of your use when you kind of playing against the rules like this. But, you know, I think as long as it leads to a little bit of inspiration and you find some use out of it, you know, that's usually why I stay playing with these things, because most of the time they don't work, but when they do work, you get that little special moment of oh nice, that's pretty cool, I'm gonna keep that. Like, might even bump it up an extra octave through Ableton. Let's see where we go. Actually, I really like that beats mode. It's just adding a bit of weird granular goodness. But I really like kind of where we've got to. Obviously, it's very basic in the beat making process, but again, just an idea you could experiment with and try on your own terms. I do really like adding these out of time textures just to provide a little bit of, you know, essence or just a little bit of background, you know, this really mysterious kind of vibe. And I do really like that. So let's see, I get those heavy bells in there. If I wanted to take this further with the weirdness, I could probably add something like fragments to that track. This is a beautiful plugin for adding some weirdness by Arturia, EFX Fragments. Let's see what it does on default. All that craziness. So let's flick through a couple presets. Boom, and we're in. Well, that's basically it for today's creative musical idea. Checking out these out of time loops. Let me know what you thought below. This is a bit of a niche one, I feel, but you know, again, I'm just trying to boggle your mind with all the weirdest of things on this channel. So if you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comment section below. Let us know, leave a comment. Feel free to like and subscribe. The support really helps the channel, and I appreciate every one of you that's done that so far. Once again, I've been Chris Vella, and I'll see you on the next one.